Not Apple. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Your next comic, give it loud for everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're up your next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. This is our second episode of Mic Talk, and really excited about this one. We have a lot of cool things to talk about, some things we've done, some things we're going to do. Before we get into all that, I would like to introduce my co-host, Anthony Eugenio. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Wayne. I am log day something of new baby. And that motherfucker is sleeping.
As he should be.
So, yeah, we did it. We did it.
You might have noticed I'm rocking old school right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only the shirt is old school, because you've definitely worn that on a podcast before, but also you're back in jail.
Yeah. Yep. I'll get into why I'm here, but before we do, we had discussed a while back. I was kind of fucking around with AI, the Bing AI in particular. We have AI at home, and I just out of curiosity, I had asked it about if it knew anything about our podcast, and it popped up with yes, I do know the podcast Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne, and I was like, holy shit! And then it proceeded to tell me what it is. And I thought this would be a fun read because I was taken aback by how little it actually knew about us. Would you like me to read this?
Give it to me.
All right. It is a podcast that chronicles the start and journey of two friends who are new to stand-up comedy in the Boston area. So far, not bad. They share their experiences, challenges, and lessons learned from performing at open mic events, as well as their opinions and insights on comedy culture. By this point, I was like, holy shit, Bang AI knows what we do.
Sounds pretty good.
They also interview other comedians and experts who offer their advice and feedback on how to improve their craft, which is pretty accurate. The podcast is hosted by Anthony Scabelli and Wayne Praviti, who are both aspiring comedians and writers. And
Damn, if they couldn't make me any more fucking Italian, they tried.
Thanks a lot, Allie.
Yeah, God.
It gets better, though. The podcast was launched in 2012 and has 12 episodes so far, which I think is not true because we started on... first one was on June 11th, 2023, so only 11 years off.
And I think we're at 3 times the amount of podcasts than that.
Yeah. The episodes are about 30 to 40 minutes long and are available, blah, blah, blah. The rest of it is not really interesting, but I loved that. Anthony Scabelli and Wayne Praviti.
I like Scabelli more than Eugenio, actually. I wish I had that.
There you go. You have a stage name.
Scabelli.
I did some other AI prompts regarding the podcast, and I don't know, maybe we'll explore those in other mic talks because they're kind of funny. But
do you set your house up with the artificial intelligence, like the Amazon, the Alexa, and all that?
No, I used to, but no, I did. I had it. I had Alexa for a while, and I really just kind of stopped using it. I didn't really care about it.
That to me was the crazy. Like, if you're listening right now and you got one, you're like, "Hey Alexa, can you put this on my?" What are you doing? Like, we all grew up with the serial killer movies where the stupid asshole brings the Chucky doll into the house because she bought it off of a homeless guy in the back of a building, and you're like, you deserve to die, I guess is the point of this movie. If you bring in artificial intelligence to your house, you allow it to record everything that you do and listen or hear and say, and then sell that data to marketing companies in order to exploit you for sales, I don't want to say you deserve to die, but I'm not saying you deserve to live.
So I'll say definitely the phones are listening anyways, so I don't really see the difference.
Not Apple.
I mean, you say that. But I've been getting these really, really weird ads on Facebook. The weirdest one I've gotten so far has been mannequin feet. Like super realistic mannequin feet. Just the feet.
Wow. I wonder if that's an add-on to a regular mannequin or the mannequin came with feet and it needs replacing. Which, either way, I want to know the origin of that story.
I don't know, but there's been a lot of stuff. I got like a 6 count of wooden coffins for some reason. There's been all kinds of crazy shit. Maybe I'll go through next time I see it and I'll just screenshot it and post it on Instagram so you can see the weird shit that comes across my targeted advertising.
Well, I gotta say, the weird part about that is it's deadly accurate to what you think and say for those cookies that you get on there. So I think that you're wearing out some mannequin feet, which we'll do a whole episode on how that's happening. And did you say they were child-sized caskets or regular-sized caskets?
It didn't specify, but I mean, it was
Either
a
way.
6 count. I can't imagine it'd be a 6 count of normal caskets. It had to have been like infant caskets.
You can buy caskets by the 6-pack?
I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
I think that was on Temu. Or Temu?
That's pretty good. Yeah, either way. If I can pre-plan out like, hey, listen, I know I just committed mass murder, but I have covered everybody's funeral arrangements. It's like, is that the only reason you would need 6 at a time?
Yeah.
Think about that. That's the only way you would need that. Unless if you worked at a funeral home and you were just Amazoning your caskets, that would be disappointing too.
Sure would. Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the AI and all that stuff, and that's a good reason as to why.
Yeah, we'll get used to it because our kids are going to live in a virtual world, I think, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming fast. It really is.
Well, so as long as we're going to keep being old, let's talk about the last couple weeks in open mic nights. What do you think?
Well, yes, I do want to touch on that, but I had a funny story. Normally I will text you all my funny stories. I saved this for the reason as to why I'm in here. So my wife took off work yesterday to stay home because we had mass saves coming in to do some work putting in insulation in my attics. I have 2 different attics and do some stuff in the basement and all that. And in the middle of the day, they're taking out floorboards and bringing in insulation, whatever. They have the front door open. We have like a little porch area. So my wife is in the other room doing some work on her computer. And she hears this woman's voice just go like, Tristan! Tristan! And she didn't think much of it until one of the workers came over and said, hey, there's some lady in your house looking for Tristan. And she goes, there's nobody by that name here. So she goes out into the porch, and there's this lady inside the house, not like at the open door. She was in the porch, which is part of the house. It's like an enclosed porch all season, and with a crutch, and she's just screaming this kid's name, Tristan. And she goes, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm looking for Tristan." She's like, "There's no Tristan here. Nobody lives here by that name." And the lady goes, No, it's one of the workers. So, there was a worker there named Tristan. Some of the other workers had no idea who this guy was. And this lady showed up at our house to find him. Long story short, it was his mother. Somehow found out where he was working and decided to just walk into somebody's house calling his name. How fucking wild is that?
Did you get more? Did you go like, hey, I gotta know why you need to talk to him now?
I wasn't here because, if I was here, it would have been a whole fucking thing.
Yeah, you would have showed her some gay porn magazines that you have stashed over there. That's the first thing you would have done.
I definitely would have. My wife, I think, is a little more tolerant than I am. I'm not like a mean person, but there's certain things that set me off, and that would have set me off.
Yeah, well, I would have set me off if she didn't explain herself. I'm like, all right, listen, you broke the rules by coming into my house. But now I get to break the rules by asking you personal questions.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, what is Tristan? What a name, too. That's a Tristan.
Yeah. So We did get a little bit. So after she left, the guy apologized to my wife and said, "I'm sorry, she does this all the time." So just imagine how many houses this lady has just walked in unceremoniously, screaming this kid's name.
Yeah, he should just get fired. I mean, that's the quickest way to stop that from happening.
That sure is. There was a lot more to it, too. They were supposed to be done in one day. But apparently one of the people on the crew had a second job and didn't tell anybody, so he had to leave, making it so the other people couldn't finish their job because they didn't have the proper amount of people. So now we have to take another day off of work for them to come back and finish the job. So not only obviously you're saving money with Mass Save, but we're paying for it. And we're paying for it with our earn time. A second time. Kind of irritating, but...
Yeah, and the employees are conjuring up ghosts into your house that are fucking their mother. Like, what if she was a ghost and he just... Because, like, that'd be the only way she'd know where your fucking house is. How else would she know that? That kid probably didn't even know the address. He just gets in a work van and he leaves. But if this was some sort of, like, Conjuring type scenario where he's cursed... I've watched all the Conjuring movies in the last week, so I'm really well versed on this. And he was cursed. You could tell if he had, like, a mark on his hand or something. But if he didn't, and then he went to your house, his mom would still be haunting him even if he was at your house. So you might now be cursed, is my point.
Sounds like that's the case.
Yeah. If I had to put money on it. That's where I'm putting money down on.
Yeah. So now that riveting story is over, let's get into what we did the last couple weeks.
Yeah, did you just want to do that fucking segue or something? Is that why you shat all over my segue for that story that you could have said at any time?
What? No. I wanted to do that before. Because we were going to forget.
Because it was forgettable.
Thank you.
God damn. All right.
Yeah. So since we've released the last Mike Talk last week, where have we been? I don't think we've done anything separately. I think we've been pretty attached to the hip this past week.
We have been. We went to Strange Brew, and we tried to do Clemento's, but Clemento's was a short night. So instead, we did Book and Bar in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And both of those went good.
Yeah, so I want to touch on Strange Brew because we've mentioned in the past where we haven't had that much luck there. It's always been pretty decent crowd there, but you get the comics in the back that get loud. Comics will go up and then disappear. And by the time you get up there, even if we're 8th or 9th in line, we end up 18th and 19th and blah, blah, blah. But this week actually turned out pretty decent where we got up pretty early. There was a decent crowd. It was fairly quiet. People were attentive. It felt like a different atmosphere for some reason since the last time I went.
Oh, well, I got to tell you, Wayne, last time we went, there were 6 or 7 more comics who would go there that moved to Colorado. And as it so happens, I was second there into the room, or third, whatever, second or third to the list. And we went up, I think, 8th and 9th or something like that. I mean, there was 5 people who got just put on the list ahead of us before we went. Now, before, when those people from Colorado were still here, there were 6 more people that would be put on the list ahead of you, even if you were there first.
Yeah, so, that was their stomping grounds.
That was their stomping ground. So if you were 8th and 9th, you were 19th and 20th, which was a complete fucking waste of time to be there, to be honest with you, if you're going to go on that late, because there's nobody there. Everybody's talking. No one's listening to your shit, except beautiful Dan Cronin, who's been on the podcast before. Alumni, give it up for Dan. He would listen to you. But this time we conquered our demons because we were given a fair shake at a good time slot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did pretty good with it. What do you remember about it?
Yeah, so I went there with new material that I'm working on. I think I had only done it. I did one of the jokes twice and one just once. And that's pretty much what I did. And I threw one oldie in there because I had a little extra time. But I was pretty pleased with the way it went rather. The first one I did was a joke I'm working on about like a dick trade in with with transitions. Uh, the other one is a little story about me going to buy Grand Theft Auto when I was a kid, and a made up story about my dad not wanting to spend time with me and then just berating me in front of the GameStop clerk. But I think they
You
both
said
went
made
okay.
up.
It was yeah, yeah. But I was pretty pleased with the response that I got from them, with them being so early in development. I was pretty happy, so I'm looking forward to developing those a little more. What did
Development
you do?
sets are always fun. So I have been the last couple weeks. We're doing the Burren very soon comedy contest on October 4th. So I've been trying to figure out. All right, I'm going to do 5 minutes for that. Let's start the construction process of that set. So I wanted to see, where things are going to line up, and I thought I had it lined up pretty perfectly with. My idea was to start with California sober, go into a joke called Stephen Hawking that I recently wrote. That was great.
Love that joke.
Shout out to my boy Matt Sperling for giving me a good tag for that. Really made that joke all come together. And then I was going to do immigrant parents and finish off on trying to have a girl. So that was my set list for what I was going to do. But I went to, actually, I don't know if we've talked about this. I went to the Safe with Justin George and not you the week before this. You were off that week.
Oh, actually,
there I
wasn't that just a couple days before?
Yeah, a couple days
Oh,
before.
so we probably didn't talk about that last time.
No, we didn't. Yeah, so I went. That went great too. The Safe's always awesome.
Yeah.
But I decided to try over there. I'm just going to call it the Japanese element to a set where I have three. I have a Japanese joke in the beginning, and then there's two callbacks to it throughout the 5 minutes. So one, I'm excited that there's callbacks that I can use in sets. That's always like a goal of mine, is to put something, that kind of cohesively puts your joke together. But two is kind of a happy accident that I just tried out of nowhere at the Safe and ended up taking to Strange Brew and rearranging my set. So now I have a new intro, a new end, and I took out Stephen Hawking and I put in, I guess the joke's called Pearl Harbor. But yeah, I did that. I do that instead. So I did that at Strange Brew and then ended up doing it again more refined at Book and Bar. And I was very happy with how it went, especially with the new elements in there. Those hit right away. Like, I felt like they were the strongest parts of my set were the new elements the two times I did it, which never fucking happens. So I think that's what I'm going to take to the Burn. I don't know. What do you think? What should I do with the Burn? That was a good conversation.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. I think that set that you've been working on is definitely the way to go. And you are right that the Japanese elements that you put in it definitely got the most laughs both times. It just kind of ties it all into a nice little package.
Yeah, and I had a very nice Japanese lady come up to me after one of the sets that we did and say how much she liked it. And when someone comes up to you after you did 3 Japanese jokes and it's like, "Hey, I'm Japanese," you flinch automatically. Oh, fuck, sorry. But they liked it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's definitely really good. I've said before, I like seeing your set in particular grow because I've seen almost every single iteration of it, and it's impressive watching it from this seat.
Well, I'm always trying to improve it. So that's a good part. Like, I'm not resting on my laurels in the joke. There's always, so far, because we're so new at it, there's consistently better ways to set up my jokes I'm learning, and areas where I'm doing a setup and I never thought it should be funny in that area because it's getting to the punchline, and you realize that you can add a couple punches even in your setup to make it funny consistently. And I think that's I've learned that being a New England comic, a Boston comic in particular, I think our biggest attribute that we can take to a national stage is how quickly and often our punches, our laughs are in our jokes. We're so rapid fire quick in our scene. And you notice the people that aren't that way, that take a lot, like we have a couple Midwest guys that came up to do comedy that I saw, and guys from the South, and they're a lot slower. And everybody's like, hey, get to the funny! And it just does not fucking fly. So I think that'll be, because you can always slow down, but it's really hard to be that quick on punches the way that we do up here. So I don't know why I said that, but look at me, giving a compliment to the Boston comedy scene.
Yeah. My experience at the Book and Bar is something I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit, because we had talked about in our 4-month check-in some goals that we had, and I guess I didn't really think of this as a goal, or at least I didn't say it. But I wanted to be I want to be a little more on my feet, be able to just do something on a whim, right? So for 5 months, I've been going up, knowing these are the jokes I'm going to tell, hell or high water. And on the way to the Book and Bar, I still had not decided what I wanted to do. I wanted to do my Burren set, what I'm planning on doing that night. But I did that the last time I was there, so I didn't want to do it again. So long story short, what I did, I decided I was going to let the audience choose for me. And when I got there, Justin George had told me that there was a birthday girl in the crowd, sitting right up on the stage. So what I did, I had a few different sets I could have done. So when I got on stage, I said, hey, I heard there was a birthday over here. Whose birthday? Oh, it's you? All right, I prepared nothing. So I want you to decide what we talk about. You want to talk about ghosts, dicks, or both? And she, without missing a beat, just yelled out, dicks! Which was awesome. Because I got to bring back Dick Talk. I kind of did that for the first time in like a month. And with pretty much no practice. I haven't practiced that in a while. And then I only kind of fucked up. Not even fucked up. I had one point where I did the setup for the next funny bit, and I kind of lost my spot for a second. But I don't think it looked like a fuck up. You know what I mean? Kind of looked more like I was thinking, which kind of worked because I said I didn't prepare anything. But the long story short on that is, I think I took a step in my own head of, man, I let somebody dictate what I was going to do, and then I owned it. And I got to say, I think that was probably my favorite time ever doing Dick Talk. I had a lot of chatter in the front because I engaged them first. They had no problem yelling out to me and talking to me, and I engaged back in between the jokes, and it felt really good to do that. I felt like I grew a little bit.
Look at you. I grew in my pants watching it, so at least we both had a little bit of that element to it. Yeah, that was the most crowd work I ever did, actually, was at Book and Bar, I think. I think it was a good 2 minutes.
You did a lot of crowd work. You did awesome. That's something I didn't even think to mention. Yeah, it was actually the same crowd, the same group, rather, the birthday group. They were a fun crowd. But they had no issue, interrupting. But it wasn't like a Karen heckler type of thing, It was just, you said something, you did a joke about being high or something. She's like, you're not high. And your improv on that, your comeback to that was so fantastic.
Yeah, well, it was this is the thing, folks. There are some people out there that do act about being high on stage. But I am Daniel Day-Lewis of being high on stage. Like, I'm fucking making shoes before the shot myself in my ad. Are you a Daniel Day-Lewis fan? Is this all lost on you?
Who, me? I know who he is.
Oh, my
Lincoln,
God.
right? Lincoln?
Jesus,
I'm not a movie guy. We've gone over this. I'm not a movie guy.
I know.
He played Lincoln, right?
One of all time. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he did more than play Lincoln. But he's well known for living in his roles. Like, I mean, he would come to set as Abraham Lincoln before they would start rolling. Like, he lived it all. What I'm saying, which would have been Like, if you were a regular person on the other end of this fucking computer that watches just the bare minimum movies that everybody watches, you'd have been like, oh, how clever of a line that is, because you're a method comedian because of how high you... Instead, I'm explaining all of it. And I'm ruining it. But yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere, but it got smashed underneath your ignorance.
Wow. Are you? Oh God, you're an asshole. So I was complimenting you, but I guess we'll end it there. What do we have? But overall, no. In all seriousness, I think I think you did really well with the interaction there. There were some of your biggest laughs, actually. Was interacting with the birthday girl and the person who said you weren't high.
Yeah, she also said why I wasn't wearing a wedding ring. I was like, damn, girl, after the show. Like, what are you... Like, God damn.
But you had a perfect comeback for every single thing. I was very impressed.
Yeah, that is something which is a good topic, maybe in a topic episode, is what, like, skills in comedy have to be inherent. What skills in comedy can be learned and refined. So there's a lot of people, I'm sure, who will listen who aren't doing comedy right now and think, like, could I do it? And I think that the answer to a lot of those is yeah. For most people, like, if you have an inkling to, like, at least be okay to talk on stage, you can figure it out, refine it. But there are some people that are fucking terrible and are never going to be good at it, and also don't have any inherent skills. And I think that quickness and crowd work might be something that's more of, like I said, an inherent skill than a learned skill. It might be just something that you have or you don't have type of effect.
Yeah, that would be a good episode. That might be a good one to have somebody on. Get a third perspective on that. Maybe a more tenured comic or something.
Yeah, you know what would be good to get on? Oh, his name is so goddamn Irish, but that guy who was really upset at Strange Brew of people who had their shirts unbuttoned. Is it Andrew? What's his name? Does the
Andrew McGinnis?
Yeah, there you go.
I've been thinking about contacting him to come on. Every time I see him, I enjoy him more and more. The first time I really had an interaction with him, I think I talked to Justin George about him when we had him on, or when you were busy having your baby. The first time I really saw Andrew McGinnis, he picked me out of a crowd for, he was making fun of me for a joke that I made on stage, and I was like, oh, why is this guy picking on me? And then it was the first thing he did, and then he was doing it to everybody. He's like, oh, this is his thing or whatever. And then every time I saw him after that, I was like, damn, this guy he's good. He's pretty quick on the draw.
Well, he's a crowd work comic. I don't want to label him as that, meaning that's predominantly what we've seen him do is he funnels crowd work around a couple bits, and it's fantastic. So quick, all that. Really so if we did that episode about, inherent skills and all that, he'd be good to bring on, because maybe he has got a different point of view. Like, oh no, I suck at crowd work, and then I got way better at it by, making that an emphasis of my stage time. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to him. So hopefully maybe you guys will see him. If not, he rejected me, and then fuck you. But he probably won't. No, he's a nice guy. I'm sure he'll come on. But
he'd probably cleverly shit on you if he was going to reject you.
So that's my worst nightmare. If we have him on and you, I'm just going to get, like, Eiffel Towered with insults.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, over here.
At least you'll get some sexual contact for the first time in your goddamn. See, we're quick, everybody. We're quick. All right.
So, I guess let's start wrapping this up. What do we have coming up in the near future between now and probably the next time we record a mic talk? What do we have going on? We have the Burren going on.
We have the Burren, but we're probably going to have a mic talk, I imagine, right before the Burren. And
that's true.
What we do have, though, is a really busy goddamn week coming up of, like, not for us, but in general. One, you do have one to yourself this weekend, which we're going to mention now, but we'll go more in depth on the next Mike Talk because you would have done it by now. But you're doing a guest spot. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So on Facebook, I'm friends with a gentleman named Matt Clark, and I saw on Saturday, this past Saturday, he posted that he had a guest spot available for a show down in Webster, Mass, and I didn't reply right away. And my wife got home. I was like, hey, future reference. If I see things like this, do you care if I kick off early on a Saturday or whatever? She's like, oh, you should have. She said you should have replied to that. So I was like, fuck it. So I messaged him. He's like, yeah, I'll put you on. So I'm gonna do a guest spot down at Andy's Neighborhood Canteen in Webster, Mass. As of right now, it's a 15-minute set, so it's gonna be my longest set.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That is exciting. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. It all kind of flows really nice. I'm really excited to do it. I have a customer / friend that lives in Webster, actually six minutes away from there. That's going to come down and hang out and watch me. So that's pretty exciting too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Is it like a tavern?
I've never been there. I looked at some pictures. It's kind of hard to tell, but it almost looks like an open barn concept. I don't know if they do like barbecue or whatever. It looks like they're going to have some cannabis infused foods there.
Oh my God! I should have gone to this. What are we doing?
They're going to have
like a million miles away, but
yeah, it's not too far from me. I mean, it is the opposite end of the state, north to south, but it's only about an hour and 10 minutes away from me. So
yeah, you were perfectly situated to be able to do that. And maybe there's like I don't want to call it a glut of comics over there, but a lot less than you'd have to deal with in Boston. So maybe a lot more of these opportunities would pop up. Like in Augusta, Maine, which would be like an hour and a half from me, somewhere in that ballpark. I see a ton of listings for Auburn and all that area of a ton of like comic not headlining, but showcase and book gigs all over the place that are just, you don't even need to send tape, that are open for. Just not a lot of comics there. So
you got to go to the one that Jacques hosting in Sanford.
I'd love to. Yeah.
You should make a point to go there. Meet, go see Jacques. See if you can meet Jim McHugh.
McHugh.
I'm sorry.
See that, Jim? Don't put him on whatever you're doing.
Jim McHugh. And
when is that?
October. Shit, I don't remember. It's like mid-October. It's a Friday. Is it the 20?
The Friday? You got to come up then, bitch. Are you coming?
I don't think I can get up there in time. By the time I get out of work and pick up my kid and find a way to get him somewhere safe, I would like to. When it gets a little closer, I might try to figure it out. But my sister lives in. I could bring my son up there and leave him with my sister for a bit.
Look at that. We're problem solving on the podcast, everybody. But okay, all right. Where else are we doing?
Yeah. So I don't know about Mike's for me next week. After Saturday, but on Wednesday, a friend of the show, Justin George, is going to be competing at the Burren, so a week before we do. So I'm making it a point to go down there to support him, and I think it'll also be nice to check it out, see how it goes, how it runs and all that.
I'll be there with you, so we'll support Justin and get a nice look at our future.
Yep.
So we'll be doing it the next week. We also going to see Bill Burr that Friday. That's going to be awesome.
Yep, we're going to see Bill Burr, so definitely look out for an episode talking about that. I think that'll be a full episode.
I know the fucking Burt Kreischer Fully Loaded tour that was double. It's like 2 times our most popular episode ever. So I think people are into the stand-up reviews.
Yeah, definitely. And before that, in between those 2 days on the Thursday is Mondo Comedy. Are you going to go to that?
That's all going to depend on you, I think. I have the blocking ability now that the kid is not a cunty McShitballs for me anymore. So I'll have some more flexibility to do stuff like that, but I'm not committed to shit yet.
Yeah, so it's something I want to do, but leaving 3 nights in a row, so if I was to go to the Burren, and then Mondo, and then Bill Burr for the entire day. They'd be neglecting my family for 3 days in a row. I don't know if I could pull that off, but we'll see. But that's going to be a good one. Last week's guest, X-Teen, is going to be on there, along with Nick Powell. And I think the headliner is Caroline Plummer. So that'll be cool.
There you go. Yeah, I saw Caroline Plummer.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen her in a lot of different flyers. Like she was opening for or on the same show as Lenny Clark in a couple weeks, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's that's where I want to weasel our way into eventually. It's just like share the stage with somebody like that. Like Tony V, which, again, Tony V was there last time you were there. These guys that are, Stephen Wright, all the top legends of Boston, that's kind of like the highest mountain I want to get to, is to just be on a small showcase that they're headlining. That's the dream right there. So we'll see. We're going to keep trying.
That comes down to, like I said, a couple episodes ago, just go watch comedy. Go out and
go see it, bitches.
Go see it, meet people, network. That's how you're gonna, that's how you get on stages like that to begin with, and then once you get that opportunity, prove yourself, and it's a snowball effect from there. I think
it's very Eminem-like. Lose yourself in the music moment. You own it.
Yep.
Never let it go. All right, guys. So that's it. That's the show. We told you what we did, what we're gonna do. And now go fuck yourself. Have a great night, everybody. But yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere, but it got smashed underneath your ignorance.